bring in Ray Stevens, award-winning Chicago radio host. I want to come right off of what Marianne said there. It was Lori Lightfoot, what she was saying to the New Yorker. I'm a black woman. Let's not forget certain folks, frankly, don't support us in leadership roles. Ray, based on the polls,
Don't you just love when Democrats always have to throw in, oh, I'm a woman, or, oh, I'm black, or, oh, I'm part of this group, or I'm part of that group. Just remember how they treat us bad. Shut up.
What's going on here? Do you think she has any chance of holding office?
Personally, I don't. I have been wrong before, as polls have in the past. But I think what you have to look at is the last election cycle. She beat a name like Daley. She was in a runoff with Toni Preckwinkle. Obviously, both women of race. I don't know that matters. I think the issues you just talked about is what it will come down to. Chicago has a rampant crime problem. And not only is it in Chicago, but it's now reached the collar counties, and that's problematic. Crime is going to be the issue in this election. And personally, from what I'm hearing from my
What's the name of the place you just mentioned?
It's now reached the collar counties, and that's problematic.
Collar counties? I'm assuming those are some more wealthier, more affluent areas around Chicago. Let me know in the comment section, please.
Crime is going to be the issue in this election. And personally, from what I'm hearing from my constituents, from listeners, is that it will come down to Vallis, Brendan Johnson, Paul Vallis. He's run big school districts in Philadelphia, New Orleans, Chicago.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, wow. She actually took the lead over Garcia. I think the last time we checked this out, Garcia was ahead, and she was like fourth. So, looks like Paul Vallis is got the W locked in. Brandon Johnson, I think I remember seeing his name the last time we checked, these numbers out. But Brandon was like fifth behind Lori Lightfoot. So this is all completely shift. He was back here, and she was here, and he was second, Garcia. So, wow, interesting. All while Paul is just sitting comfortably in the lead. Which is, it's good and sad at the same time. Obviously there is the 14% undecided down here that could make a difference in this election. If his turnout isn't as high and, a lot of people break towards Lori or something, but we'll see. We'll see.
And then Brendan Johnson has the backing of the Chicago Teachers Union. He's the Cook County Commissioner. I think those are your two guys. There may be a surprise, but I think the rhetoric is the backing of the Chicago Teachers Union. He's the Cook County Commissioner. I think those are your two guys. There may be a surprise, but I think the rhetoric we just talked about, what you just talked about, is what will hurt Lori Lightfoot. Crime, and she just doesn't come across as somebody that cares about people. I'm sure she's a nice lady. She's got a wonderful family here in town, but it just doesn't resonate. And you can't. All you really have to do is show the pictures, show the statistics you just showed. Chicago's a great American city, but it's in trouble right now. I think that's what gets her in the long run. I think it's Vallis, and I think it's Brendan Johnson.
When in doubt, Lightfoot plays the race card. She's done this before. She'll do it again, and she's doing it here. You heard in Marianne's piece the reference to playing the race card. Will that have any impact in a city where, quite frankly, her policies on crime specifically have hurt people of every single race?
Todd, here's what
should make any
here's
effect,
what the national news kind of misses about Chicago. What we see is the crime numbers. You can't discount that. It's there, and you see the same visceral speak all the time, over and over again. There are people in this town that are ready to be leaders. I mean, really, if you look down the line of these people that are running for mayor, there's a guy named Willie Wilson. He's a philanthropic man. He's a very good man, African American. Chicago is a Latino and very diverse African American community. Personally, I don't think it comes down to race. There are people living in these communities that just want to be safe when they go outside. It's going to come down to safety and crime. Then it's going to come down to taxes, and then it comes down to schools, and then taxes. Our schools are failing. Our taxes are too much money. That's what it comes down to. I think we play race in everything. Chicago's a very diverse town. our leadership, most of the leadership positions, as far as aldermen are concerned and county commissioners, mostly everybody's of color. So I don't know why we always have to play the race card. It is a diverse city. It's a great city. It just needs help. And I think Lori's time is up.
He said something interesting there. He said most people in the leadership roles are basically black people, right? Kind of interesting how that works when the city is literally nicknamed after a war zone, Chirac. Just saying. But, it's always Trump's fault, of course. always, circles back, in the words of Jen Psaki, back to Uncle Trump. Let's hop into this next video, though, and I'm gonna save my thoughts because I have a lot to say about this. I'm holding myself back a little bit here because I want to get through this second clip as well. But after this, I'll give y'all what I got to say.
Voters will decide the fate of Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot as her tight race is plagued by the city's rise in crime and homelessness. Will she keep her job at the end of the day or not? Let's ask Fox News political analyst Gianno Caldwell. Gianno, you actually went out and talked to voters, right?
I did. I absolutely did. And I'll tell you, on voters' minds, no matter who you speak to, what demographic they're from, crime, they all say the same thing. Public safety is their number one issue, their number one consideration.
As it should be.
And for the first time in 20 years, that exists for the entire city, not just in particular areas like black community, Hispanic community. It's for all of Chicago because you can literally be down there and be shot.
Yeah, on
Downtown.
Miracle Mile.
Downtown.
Okay, let's take a look at what you gathered.
Absolutely. Does Chicago need a leadership change?
Hell yeah.
Listen, listen to what all these people have to say, man. Goodness gracious.
I think we've been trying to find a leadership change for a while.
What grade would you give Mayor Lori Lightfoot?
An F minus.
Hopefully she's, willing and ready to pass the torch on to somebody that's, looking to make Chicago great again.
She's got to go.
Yeah.
I voted her in, but I'm voting her out.
Wow. So a lot of people thought that it couldn't get bad enough to get Lori Lightfoot out, but we were talking offset. You really think she might not even make it to the runoff?
That's right. So the top two vote getters, if no one gets the majority of the votes, goes off into a runoff, which is in April. Paul Vallis, it looks like he's going to be the one that pulls out at least one of the people that make it into the runoff, if there is a runoff. And this is great news, I think, for me, my family, the countless victims of violence throughout the city of Chicago. As I've mentioned many times before, my baby brother Christian was murdered on the south side of Chicago, June 24th to be exact. And that's the only solace that we have right now, somebody who's going to be reasonable. Paul Vallis seems to be that guy. Be reasonable about protecting citizens, victims, not the criminals. And I think that's what we've seen through a lot of Lori Lightfoot policies, the no chase policy. Police can't even pursue suspects. Police are afraid to do their jobs. They've been completely and totally demoralized. That on top of Kim Foxx's actions, we've had a disaster in the city of Chicago. Now we need change. And that day is coming on Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah, it's not just crime.
Yeah, this stuff is just, it's gotten crazy, man. It's really gotten crazy. The part that nobody is really thinking about is the fact that all of those guys and gals you saw on the screen there that are running for mayor of Chicago, want to guess how many of them are Republicans? Last time I checked, none of them are Republicans. All Democrats. So while you might get the face out of your city or out of, the mayor position, you still have the base still strangleholding that city. So will things change? Maybe slightly. I don't expect a huge major change in Chicago. As a matter of fact, it's honestly my preference that Lori Lightfoot stays. She's entertaining. I get video content off of her. I'm just being honest at this point. She is good for TV. There's always something to talk about when it comes to Lori Lightfoot. I don't want somebody boring. City of Chicago is going to remain a terrible place. Because there's this notion that if you are a person of color, you have to vote Democrat. And if you're not voting Democrat, then you're not voting at all. There's no possible way you will ever cast a ballot for a Republican. And that needs to change. And hopefully after they see Paul Vallis or this Brandon guy basically keep the city maybe a tiny bit better, which that's my guess. The city will be better. It will be better. Not much better though. It might be just good enough to like, people are like, man, you know, still going to be nicknamed Chirac. That's not going to change. You know, it's still not going to be the safest place in the world to be. That's not going to change. And I just get frustrated seeing this blind loyalty to Democrats, especially from black people. I know Joe would say that I'm not black, but it just frustrates me to see this because it's just over and over and over again, and they all bring some of the same policies. That's why I said not a whole lot's going to change. They could talk up a good game, and you know, Paul Vallis or whoever, they'd be smart to say, yeah, we're going to bring down crime because that's what all the people of Chicago are talking about. That's what everybody in America is talking about. Crime, crime, crime. So yes, you would be smart to say something good about bringing down crime. But once you got in that position, you know they're going to vote for you again anyway, or some other Democrat, so why does it matter? Blind loyalty. And that leads to my next point. It's detrimental to have such blind loyalty because where's the incentive to actually do what they say they're going to do? If I'm selling you a product, right? Could be anything. I don't know. Could be lip chat, right? Could be lip chat. If I'm selling you lip chat, okay? And I know that I am the only person that you will ever buy lip chat from, I could fill this with anything. Could fill this with absolutely anything I wanted to. You're gonna come back anyway. Hey, as long as it's some kind of lip moisturizer or greaser or something, you're gonna come back. That's the same thing with Democrats and Democratic politicians. They know you're gonna come back anyway. Well, I'm going to talk up a big game. And, once I get in office, whatever, they're not going to vote for those guys over there. I know that. At worst, they just aren't going to show up at the polls. That's the worst case scenario. And even then, hey, okay. So, like, I just don't understand, and nobody is really addressing that fact. You're still electing you're still electing the same policies just behind a different face. Police are still going to be afraid to do their job. Now, the whole no chase policy, what in the world? Oh my goodness, like you just can't make this stuff up. These guys come up with some of like the worst policies known to man. The worst. It's just, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. I literally feel bad for anybody that lives in Illinois. Just period, top to bottom. Not just Chicago, Illinois, because you got Pritzker governing over that entire state who, I think I saw something where Pritzker is worth like billions. I didn't know he was that wealthy. I was like, sheesh. Still don't like him as a governor, but, sheesh. Pritzker. Wow. I didn't know he was that wealthy. But, yeah, if you live in Illinois, yeah. Can't be great. It cannot be great. And I feel like most of Illinois is Republican. It's just basically Chicago that controls that entire state, unfortunately. Sheesh. Which is also another crazy part about this whole, election stuff, how one dense city can control the entire state. And often those dense cities are Democratic. And obviously everywhere else around them, like Illinois, I feel is more Republican. And yet, because of Chicago, bingo. And even when Chicago, for lack of a better term, shit hits the fan in Chicago, people still elect the same policies, just a different face. And I don't get it. Yeah. These people, unfortunately, can't be saved or something. I don't know, man. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Do you think Lori Lightfoot is going to win today? Because the election is today for the mayor race. What do y'all think? Peace and love. I'm out.